Here I am, Aunt Ada. Ready to walk you down the aisle, if you'll have me.
I was just going to say the same thing.
I had no one to take me, and now I'm spoilt for choice.
Max has just dropped the first season for The Gilded Age Season 3, and with it, they confirmed that the show's coming back on June 22. That's a pretty big deal, especially because it's sliding into the Sunday 9 p.m. slot, the same one The Last of Us has been dominating. So once The Last of Us finishes up, The Gilded Age will take over, kicking things off with its premiere on June 22, and wrapping up its season finale on August 10 after 8 episodes. Carrie Coon is leading the cast again, and this time she's fresh off her role in The White Lotus Season 3, which only adds to the hype. She'll be joined by Baranski, Cynthia Nixon, Morgan Spector, Louisa Jacobson, Denee Benton, Taissa Farmiga, and Harry Richardson, just to name a few. And if you're into period dramas, the fact that Julian Fellowes, the Emmy-nominated mastermind behind Downton Abbey, is still steering the ship should give you an idea of the tone and scale. This next season picks up after what's been dubbed the Opera War, and honestly, it left quite a mess. The old money elite have taken a hit, and the Russells see this as their moment to rise and take control of New York's high society. Bertha, played by Coon, is aiming big. She wants something that could take her entire family to a whole new level of influence. But her husband, George, he's taking a different gamble, one that could reshape the railroad industry. So while she's focused on society, he's focused on legacy, big stakes on both sides. Over at the Brooke house, things aren't exactly calm either. Agnes is not thrilled about Ada stepping up as the head of the household. It's a power shift she's definitely not used to. Meanwhile, Peggy has a potential love interest on the horizon, a charming doctor from Newport, but her family isn't thrilled about her career choices, which creates even more tension. Everyone's pushing forward, trying to build something new, but the season keeps asking whether that ambition is worth the personal cost. While we're on the subject of what's streaming on Max, The Last of Us has been sitting at #1 ever since it premiered. It's holding strong. Right behind it though, you've got the latest seasons of The Righteous Gemstones and The White Lotus, both of which happen to feature Walton Goggins. The Pit is still in the top 10 too, which is impressive since it wrapped up weeks ago. And on the movie side of things, Nicole Kidman's Baby Girl is topping the charts, while newer entries like Companion are also pulling solid numbers. Even The Accountant, the Ben Affleck film, is trending again, probably because the sequel just hit theaters. Back to The Gilded Age, Season 2 really went out with a bang. The show had already been speeding up its pace, something fans definitely noticed. Season 1 took its time laying the groundwork and introducing characters, but Season 2 was more like a horse-drawn carriage tearing through the streets. There was something big happening in every episode. With the foundation already set, the show didn't need to explain everything, which made room for more drama and bigger moments. The season finale was where everything came to a head. Mrs. Astor and Mrs. Russell had been going head-to-head all season long, fighting to secure their spot at the top of New York society. The big showdown happened when the Academy of Music and the Metropolitan both kicked off their seasons on the same night. It was a clear battle for dominance, and when the curtain rose, a bunch of unexpected moments sent high society into chaos. And then there's Bertha's secret meeting with the Duke of Buckingham. This is one of those scenes that leaves you with more questions than answers. She couldn't buy him with her husband's money or offer him old-world connections like Mrs. Astor could, so she had to offer him something else, something personal. We never see exactly what went down during their meeting at the Union Hotel, but all signs point to her offering him a match with her daughter Gladys. From the way she rearranged the seating at the opera and the fuss she made over her daughter, it looked like Bertha had this planned out. The Duke had the title but no fortune, and Gladys had the fortune but no title. A classic case of strategic marriage. Only problem? George had promised Gladys she could marry for love. So if this is what Bertha promised, it's likely to create some serious tension between them in Season 3. Now, one of the biggest turning points of the season came when Bertha effectively rewrote the rules of American high society. Mrs. Fish, who's usually loyal to the Academy, jumps ship and heads to the Met. She even tells Bertha outright that she's changed the game, that she hasn't just won the Opera War, but she's actually reinvented American society. And looking at the crowd in her opera box, it's hard to argue. Everyone who matters is with her, while Mrs. Astor and a few remaining loyalists are left behind in a nearly empty venue. This isn't just a personal win for Bertha, it symbolizes a broader shift. The old money elite used to make the rules, but now, thanks to industrial wealth and ambition, the new money crowd can finally call the shots. It's progress, messy, ambitious, game-changing progress, and Bertha Russell is the face of it. Meanwhile, over in the Van Ryn household, the biggest shocker comes from Aunt Ada. At the very end of the finale, she reveals that her recently deceased husband, Luke Fort, left her a pretty substantial inheritance. This is huge. Agnes had been facing the possibility of selling their home and losing everything, especially after Oscar messed up the family finances. But now, thanks to Ada, they can stay afloat. This also changes the power structure in the house. Even though Agnes technically still owns the home, Ada's the one paying the bills now, which means she's calling more of the shots. In the final scene, when the family's barrister defers to Ada instead of Agnes, it's clear that things are shifting. Ada, who's always been the quieter, more timid one, now holds real power. And after years of living under Agnes's thumb, she's starting to come into her own. And let's not forget Jack and his alarm clock invention. This was one of those downstairs subplots that ended up having a ton of meaning. Jack invents a mechanism that keeps the inner workings of an alarm clock from sticking, even without oil. With a little help from the rest of the household, he's able to get it patented. Then, Larry Russell steps in and suggests they team up to bring the new design to the market. What makes this storyline special isn't just the invention itself, it's what it represents. Jack came from nothing, and yet he managed to create something with real value. It shows how even the working class could move up in the world during the Gilded Age as long as they had the right ideas and a bit of support. It's a small story, but it hits on that classic American dream theme in a way that feels personal and grounded. There was also a powerful subplot involving the fight against the Education Board's attempt to shut down schools for students of color. The board tried to close 3 schools, using excuses like low attendance and unqualified teachers. They even moved the vote to an earlier date to avoid opposition. But thanks to a bunch of passionate advocates, including Peggy Scott and her community, only 1 school ended up being shut down. What's really significant here is that people of color were able to team up with Irish immigrants who are also facing discrimination to push back against the system. When the board realized white students would also be affected, they were forced to compromise. It's a reminder that change doesn't always come easy, but when people unite, even deeply entrenched systems can be challenged. And then there's Peggy's heartbreaking decision to leave her dream job. She's been working with Mr. Fortune, who totally believes in her, but after that romantic moment they shared in Tuskegee, things got complicated. Rumors started swirling, and even though he wants to keep working with her, Peggy doesn't think it's possible to separate her feelings from the job, so she steps away, not because she failed, but because she's choosing to focus on her novel and a different kind of future. In the end, the Gilded Age continues to prove it's more than just fancy dresses and historical mansions. It's a show about transformation, ambition, and the cost of chasing something more, whether that's power, love, or legacy. And with Season 3 on the horizon, all those storylines we've been following are set to get even more tangled. And that's that for today's video. Thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next one.